Hello and good evening. This is Shelvon, and welcome to the UN podcast. I would like to welcome you. A little bit of applause there. All right. So it is Sunday, and we are going to discuss some news. It's been an interesting week. I live in the Los Angeles area, so lots of fires, lots of smoke and ash, and a lot of things. So, like to put my prayers for the people who lost their homes and all that stuff, and to all the people who don't know whether or not they're going to whether or not they have a house or not. Some people weren't able to go and check on where they lived at. So I guess they'll find out in the next couple of days whether or not their house is still there. So I said my prayers go out to those people. As they say, bad. I'm trying to remember the actual quote. But yeah. All right. So on another low, we're gonna just talk about some entertainment news. All right. So what we're gonna get into first? Actually, let's get into some Star Wars news. All right. So there's an article that I saw about Ahsoka. I particularly didn't enjoy Ahsoka that much, and given I decided to start a YouTube channel talk about pop culture, so you got to actually watch the pop culture in order for you to be able to talk about it. So let's see what they have about some news. All right, so make sure. Okay. All right, so there's a rumor that Ian McGregor will reportedly reprise his iconic role as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Ahsoka season 2. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work because this takes place in the future, unless this is through some flashbacks, and then it'll probably be with the younger Ahsoka, just like they did with Anakin Skywalker and the younger Ahsoka, which was cool, and it was pretty cool. So, all right. So earlier this week, we learned that Game of Thrones star Rory McCann will take over the late Ray Stevenson as Balon Skull in Ahsoka season 2. If the cast is starting to come together, then work on the story's Star Wars TV series must be well underway. The first batch of episodes ended in a huge cliffhanger with Grand Admiral Thrawn return to the main galaxy and close in on Dathomir alongside the Great Mothers, Ezra Bridger, and meanwhile reunited with Hera Syndulla through Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren were left stranded on Perieta with no way home. I don't know why they would get in touch with those wells because that's how they got there in the first place. However, the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker was shown to be watching over them in the finale's closing moments. The first time we've seen the Jedi turn Sith turn Jedi in that form since Return of the Jedi. That was a kind of a tongue twister. It probably won't surprise you that, according to Christian Harloff, Hayden Christensen is expecting to have a pretty big role in Ahsoka season 2. So this probably means that the bits of that show that I actually enjoyed was the ones between him and the younger Ahsoka. So if he's gonna have a lot of like a bigger role, then they're probably gonna have more flashbacks. And if you're gonna have more flashbacks, there how you can have Ian McGregor. All right. Also reveals that Ariana Greenblatt will return as the young Ahsoka, but the biggest news is Ian McGregor will reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. While a Force Ghost appearance is possible, Greenblatt's presence suggests that we're getting even more flashbacks. See? To the events in the Clone Wars. Remember, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka countered the Mortis gods in the animated series, so showrunner Dave Filoni is recreating that here. Makes perfect sense. After all, many of fans are tuning into Ahsoka won't necessarily be familiar with the animated adventures that played out in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. With the events of those shows so key to the story, Filoni must find a way to ensure his deep dive into the franchise lore makes sense for everyone. Talking to the Star Wars Skeleton, talking at the Star Wars Skeleton premiere at Disneyland last month, Filoni shared an exciting update about how work is progressing on Ahsoka season 2. I am so well into this as I've been right. Oh, I am so well into that as well. I have been writing it. I have, and I'm still singing. Oh, I am still the single writer on it. So I have been enjoying doing that, but it's a challenge, of course. And working some of these arcs through has been a challenge in making sure it is all going to come out in a way that I think is exciting for fans, ETs. I know they're interested in some of the things that I developed for season 1. I'm pretty happy about it. Love working with Rosario, and so I can't wait to get back with that. Star Wars Celebration takes place in Japan this April. We're expecting new details about both Ahsoka season 2 and The Mandalorian and Grogu shared during that event. Okay. All right. Now, like I said at the beginning, I didn't really like Ahsoka season 1. They did a kind of a poor job of writing an entertaining Star Wars film. Okay. Well, they kind of replaced them with, and I think there was an article on it. They didn't change his color, I don't think. Let's see if I can find it because I saw it someplace. Yeah, so here it is. Yeah, they didn't change his color, so that wasn't an issue. All right, let me share the thing. All right, here we go. So it just basically changes one white guy for another white guy. So, let's see. Sadly passed away. Yeah, I'm turning it on. Fans are wondering they might see Balin's skull in galaxy far, far away. Again, despite actor Ray Stevens' passing, we now have confirmation that the character will return in upcoming second season of Ahsoka. First reported by Jeff Snyder, later on the Hollywood Reporter, Scottish actor Rory McCann, best known for playing the Hound on Game of Thrones, is set to take over his skull in season 2. Stevenson, who died back in May of 2023, just before his 58th birthday, played the villainous, said that terribly, and former Jedi in the series, and the finale featured his last scene as a character, as we see the powerful Force wielder standing in the ruins of a mountainside sculpture of the Mortis gods. Skull didn't have a big part to play in the events of the concluding episode, but Stevenson would undoubtedly have reprised the role at some point. Considering how important this character would appear to be in the ongoing story, it is not hugely surprising that the part has been recast. McCann's most recent appeared in Gladiator 2. His previous credits include Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz, XXX Return of Xander Cage, Jumanji, yada, yada, yada. He was in a Knuckles television show. Okay, won't hold that against him. McCain and Stevenson are reportedly close friends. Yeah, updates on the second season have been sparse. Said after the fall of Empire, so it follows okay. It just gives you a heads up of the thing. So it looks like they're oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, they're supposedly they're gonna recast, or at least they're talking about recasting the Black Panther. Uh, I think a couple of actors they have been asked about it and they declined it. So there's kind of like a toss off of whether or not it's going to be his son or they're going to do T'Challa. So I don't know. I think I also did see something about that as well. Let's see if I can find it. With them talking about it. Nope. Oh, okay. So yeah. So here's the article. Here's the article that I saw. Okay. So here's the article that I saw, and I was going to actually talk about this today too. All right, so Marvel Studios recasting T'Challa after 4 years after Chadwick Boseman's passing. This is a kind of a rumor. New Black Panther may, sorry, may be about ready to burst into the scene in the MCU. Marvel may be ready to recast Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa for 4 years after the late actor's death, which is a shame because the way he approached it, he thought it should be like how they do James Bond, whereas he plays the character for a certain amount of movies. Then once he feels he's a little too old, he passes the baton to somebody else to do their take on T'Challa. That's what he wanted, and for whatever reason, Marvel and Disney did not do that. And so I'm not exactly no, I know why they use his sister because one, they were hip deep in the MCU, and it was they try to pretend that they were doing it to honor his memory, but they were also in the process of changing all the characters around. So I see where you're getting at. Boseman appeared in 2016 to 2019 as Marvel's iconic Wakanda warrior. Man, it's crazy that it just was 3 years. He passed away at 43, colon cancer death. That's what shockwaves to the entertainment world, prompting Marvel to shift plans of this then upcoming Black Panther sequel that eventually led to the studio releasing a big screen celebration of the actor in the form of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That's not necessarily a celebration because you swapped him out instead of doing what he actually and his family said that he wanted you to do. So I don't know how you're celebrating him by not going to his wishes. This not only set up the next generation of MCU Wakanda storytelling, but also honor Boseman and his on-screen character. The report seemingly shed light on potential plans to recast the Black Panther in the MCU, bringing a new actor to play T'Challa in a superpowered franchise. According to insider Jeff Snyder, the door is firmly open at Marvel Studios for a new actor to bring T'Challa to life on the big screen. With Marvel reshuffling the deck in advance of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War, they could probably recast a bunch of people because the version of Secret Wars that they're doing is the one where okay. How do you feel about aging Nakia's son? I think it's a useless substitute, and the son is a comic book character with history. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm kind of getting at. Is I don't really mess with that. I want them to just redo, like recast them. So I am actually feeling this particular rumor, and I hope that it's actually true. And they can actually really do it. They can easily do it because, as I was saying, the Secret Wars version that they're probably gonna do, because it involves Doctor. Even though the first one involved Doctor Doom, but the second one really involved him because he got the powers of the Beyonder, and he was able to reshape reality, and he created the Earth in his own image. So you can bring in the multiverse type stuff. So then you can actually slide in another person to play T'Challa. And then when you resolve everything, you can just, because I think they use it to, but I know they use it to bring Miles Morales into the mainline Marvel universe, the 616. So you can probably do something similar. And people is kind of speculating that that's how you're going to get Miles, which would be weird because you kind of hinted that Miles exists in the 616 already. So I don't know, but you could actually use this to recast a lot of characters. These just do the universe, like multiverse version of them. Martin Studio, up to this point, somewhat hesitant to recast Chadwick Boseman's Marvel character for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and the studio notably promoted Latita Wright's Shuri to the role of Black Panther, which I particularly hated. I hated how they did Namor. It was everything about it was dumb. However, thanks to the potential of some multiverse shenanigans, forever making significantly less than the first Black Panther. Yeah, because if you make a Black Panther movie without Black Panther, people tend to not feel that. Okay, yeah. So you agree with me? That's yeah. I don't rock with it. Okay. I heard that the actor was actually offered the role this past fall, but they turned it down. Not wanted to jeopardize the career momentum by stepping into Boseman's gigantic shoes. More than likely, Marvel's in a free fall, and I bet you it'll be easier to cast that particular part if they can get a hit out. And that's not. I don't think that Captain America 4 is going to be that hit. So maybe at some point, maybe when we get to the Doomsday and all that, I don't know, maybe Fantastic Four will be that hit, and then people will probably see a future in the Marvel universe. All right. And he seems to think someone eventually say yes to the role, seeing the opportunity as a way to honor the late great superhero actor by turning a performance worthy of the standards set by Boseman. It's unclear whether T'Challa will appear in Avengers Doomsday or the Avengers Secret War. He posted, adding that it's fair to assume that whoever is cast as the character will reprise the role in Black Panther 3. Now, to remain clear that he believes Black Panther the director, Ryan Coogler, will help in the process of recasting the character and making sure everything will be handled with the utmost care in consultation with Boseman's family. Black Panther 3 is yet to officially put on Marvel Studios slate, but is recently been teased by departing executive Nate Moore. And they ask, is recasting T'Challa a good idea? Yes, it is. They should have done it, but like Arani died, because again, that's kind of what he wanted them to do. For it to prove true, Marvel Studios are going to have a delicate dance about how it embark on with not just fans, but the stars that make up the films as well. I don't think it's going to be that delicate because people kind of wanted you to do it and didn't really like what you did. So this will be more in line with what the fan base probably wants. The making of Black Panther. But in order to be a cathartic experience for its cast and crew, as this bunch of MCU creatives had to find a way to honor the legacy of both T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman himself. However, many were surprised at the time. Marvel seemed to not even ponder the idea of potentially recasting the late great actor, even if it would have been angered a large swath of the fan base. Again, I disagree with that statement. That's what he wanted. That's what the family wanted. They stated that on many occasions, and the fan base kind of wanted you to do that too, so that the character will live on beyond him, which is what he wanted. Said the studio opted to move forward. Okay. If a recast is coming, it might be a little easier for the fans to accept, knowing that it is not simply a new actor playing Boseman's MCU character, but rather an entirely new variant of T'Challa from somewhere else in the multiverse. This would allow Disney to have a T'Challa character on the board in a superpower universe going forward without stepping on the legacy left behind by Boseman. Sure, okay. With word of Black Panther starting to spread, people think like a newly recast Denzel Washington's Black Panther recast is going to happen. Fans will likely hear about it sooner than later. All right. Yeah, I hope they do that because I liked Black Panther more in the Avengers movies that he was in as opposed to the actual movie that they made for him. It was just, I don't know. I thought it was good. It could have been better, but and I really didn't like Black Panther 2. So, all right. Well, we do have some more Star Wars news though. Let me see if I can find this article. All right, here we go. Kind of jumping around a little bit, but here we go. All right, so see, this is an article that I kind of wanted to bring up with one of my fellow compatriots. He loves the animated like Star Wars stuff. I think they're cool. I actually like the original 2D animated ones that came out during the prequel. I think those are the best ones. They actually showed the Jedi as being powerful, and as opposed to like the Clone Wars, and it was okay. But those 2D ones, like especially like Mace Windu fighting an entire army of robots by himself, that shit was cool. Alrighty, so let's get into this article because they're gonna actually bring out some more. Disney Plus animated Star Wars future gets an exciting update. The Bad Batch is over, so what comes next for the animated Star Wars on Disney Plus? According to a post on Patreon from insider Daniel Reichman, Lucasfilm is developing two new animated Star Wars series for Disney Plus. It's around 2008. Star Wars has held a steady track of having flagship 3D animated series releasing new episodes every year, which I don't know, which I kind of took as kind of like okay. I don't really like the animation style. They seemed a little clunky to me, and it didn't have the. You get better flow with a 2D animated show than you do with 3D. It's just the nature of how it works. Now they have had people who have done stuff where you get a better flow of how or flow or like a movement for the characters in when you animate them, but you do not get anything like they do with 2D. It's just that 2D has been around so much longer that they've figured out how to properly animate it so that you get I'm trying to see how to describe this. You get a it's the words I'm looking for is it's not flow, but is more of a exaggerated movement that is kind of difficult. And if you ever get a chance to look at the in-betweens, and that's when they draw each picture, like one guy draws all the main like moves, this, and this. And then someone comes in the middle of that and draws the in-betweens. If you look at the in-betweens to get that nice fluid movement, it'll look really strange. It's like if you move your hand, the hand will stretch. So they'll stretch the hand, like stretch the hand out. So it'll start here and it'll just draw so that it looks like this weird swervy pattern. But when you put all the pictures together, it gives it a movement that they really haven't figured out how to do in 3D yet. I've seen some videos where it came kind of close, but it just doesn't match it. So that's why I like I can never pronounce the dude's name. It starts with a T, and I can never pronounce it correctly. But it spanned the time period between the second movie and the third, and the end of it led directly into the third movie. So you find out how General Grievous gets his chest cracked, and it got cracked by Mace Windu. So, all right. Let's get back to this article. So they had 6 seasons of the Clone Wars, 4 seasons of Rebels, Resistance. I didn't watch that. The Clone Wars season 7 and Bad Batch. I watched some of that. I got actually talked into watching some of that. I thought it was okay. In the wake of Bad Batch's series finale, Star Wars has been left without a project to carry the flag. Although there are still smaller animated projects running at Disney Plus in a galaxy far, far away, like that ridiculous Tales of the Empire that was actually terrible, and the Young Jedi Adventures. I'm way too old to watch. It's like it is like watching Sesame Street Jedi type stuff. It is geared totally for absolute children. You can make something for kids, but you can write the story in a way that adults can enjoy it. This is specifically written for kids. That's it. It's the kind of thing you put on so that your kids can look at it while you go do something else in another part of the house. Disney Plus also released 2 6-episode anthology shorts, Tales of the Jedi in October 2022 and Tales of the Empire, which was not good, in May of 2024. Whether Lucasfilm is developing a third Tales season is unclear. Star Wars hasn't gone a year since 2008 without a main animated series, so it wouldn't be surprising to see one of those projects surface this year. For that could release next. All right. Dave Filoni, who created the Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, Tales. Yeah, he's part of the problem with Ahsoka is he has written it pretty much exclusively for these more keen friendly type stuff. So it's stuff that when you write it for animation doesn't really work out that well when you try to do live action stuff. It works like people. There are certain things that you'll let a show get away with that in cartoon or animated version that you will not let it get away with in live action. Yeah, he crushed the hell out of his chest. So I'm taking that you actually watched that. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm trying to juggle between the having a conversation and reading this article. So the Mandoverse comes to animation. Since the Bad Batch got underway in the recent years, the Mandoverse has become a top focus for Star Wars on Disney Plus. Yeah, it's the only thing that people actually gave two shits about. With 4 live action series already released in its first theatrical blockbuster arriving next year. Until now, the Mandoverse has only been explored in live action, telling stories between the original and sequel trilogies. However, Filoni has played a key role in exploring the post-Return of the Jedi era and creating a Star Wars animated project. A 3D animated series around the timeline should be in the cards. A lengthy animated series could help extra world building in the Mandoverse, perhaps centering around the New Republic with room of characters such as Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Ezra, and more to appear. Exploring Star Wars ancient years. Daniel Reichman has initially reported that Star Wars plans for 2 new animated series, also stated on Patreon, that Lucasfilm is developing a show in the Knights of the Old Republic era. Please do not touch that. Just stay in your goofy High Republic and just mess that up. Do not go back and try to. There are plenty of books, and like I love the extended universe. There are plenty of books that tells all kind. Oh, you saw clips. You should actually go watch it. It's actually pretty good. The first season is a lot of 3-minute intervals type stuff, and the the second season is more flushed out, longer shows, but overall it is very good. So it is probably on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, you should check it out. All right. Let's get back to this. What am I saying? Oh, yeah, they want to explore and I heard a rumor about this. The Old Republic era. There are plenty of books. Now, if Lucasfilm was smart, they would take one of the more popular books that were already written, that have characters already written and described and fleshed out and all that, and use that as the basis to make a show, which they should have done when they decided to do the sequels. I don't know why I know why they didn't do it, because of Kathleen Kennedy and her desire to completely destroy everything that George Lucas created. Don't know why she wants to do that, but but there are plenty of books that tells the adventures of Luke Skywalker and his Princess Leia, Han Solo, yada yada yada. You could have easily added the characters that you wanted into those stories, and then from there branch off into their own adventures within that framework that was already created. Like I said, these books were written by better authors, much better writers than people who are currently at Lucasfilm. So why they didn't do that, I don't know. All right, so Lucasfilm may try to avoid the same mistake with upcoming historical projects set in the old High Republic eras by telling these tales in cheaper animated form. Nobody cares about the High Republic era. I know this is that direct, so they tend to lean a little bit to the left. Nobody cares about High Republic. That is an absolute failure. It was poorly written. The books that came out for it were poorly written. So just take the ones that were actually written well. There are like lots and lots and lots of Old Republic stories that better writers have written. Just take one of those, stretch it out into a TV show. It's not that difficult. While the Clone Wars led to Order 66 and the start of the Galactic Civil War, Rebels and the Bad Batch explored the era as two vastly different groups fall back against the Empire's reign. Obi-Wan, so this is really, you're gonna just keep talking about the clone? Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi introduced the Hidden Path as a group that helped smuggle Jedi and Force sensitives across the galaxy before the Underground Network returned in Jedi Survivor. So the all right. The Hidden Path would open the doors to many ongoing animation stories and allow many familiar Jedis and other characters to appear. Star Wars is now released 6-episode season of Jedi Tales of the Empire. Each season has 3 episodes, spotting one character. Filming developing a further season of Tales. Just do Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Again, books already written. Just take those, make it into a TV show. Though they're well received, the fan base loves them. I don't know why they don't do that, but I digress. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see when it actually takes place, because I think it supposedly takes place at like when the Republic has been established and it's kind of in its earlier footings. So I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is there are plenty of books that talks about what happens after the Return of the Jedi, and like it talks about the formation of the Republic and the inner fighting of between all the members, and how where you are. Oh, okay. It's 6 years. All right. So after the Return of the Jedi, because I don't know if you read the actual Legends books, because if you read the Legends books, basically the Return of the Jedi happens, and then it takes a while before they conquer Coruscant. So it's like they're still fighting the remnants of the Empire. So just because the Emperor died, oh, okay, you should check them out. So to make a long story short, it takes them a while before they get Coruscant, and they have to fight the remnants of the Empire who have kind of uh, moved off into different parts of the galaxy. Some of the Moffs became warlords, some became stayed as governors, and they just became kind of rulers of their planet, kind of thing. So it's like it's a lot of stuff. So 6 years will probably be around the time where they've just got a hold of Coruscant, and they still have to worry about the saboteurs from the Empire, that kind of stuff. So, and that's essentially, I think that's when the area that Mando is operating at. So you can still tell that stuff because they're still fighting the remnants of the Empire. So it's like Admiral Piet and all the stuff that of Vader's. Yeah, so you got Grand Admiral Thrawn and you got Admiral Piet, and there's a lot of different pieces of the Empire still left. So you could tell all kind of stuff about that, because the galaxy is still not safe. The Republic controls a certain section of it, but they don't control everything. So that could be interesting. All right. I think that's it for that particular article. Let's see. Yeah, that's it for that one. There was another. So, oh, okay. What I do want to talk about is there is another. All right. Yeah, let's get into some Marvel news, because I think that's one. Yeah, we're gonna get into some Marvel news, and Will Smith dropped a kind of cryptic thing, like a cryptic tweet. But let's get into this. All right. Three more upcoming Marvel movies now are at risk of cancellation. Some upcoming Marvel movies may not see the light of day following a recent report. Industry riddled with delays and cancellations, and now that we have a fire going on, that's going to push that stuff back even more so, because I don't think the damage to the fire has reached, is mostly in like actors and athletes and whatnot homes, not necessarily in places where they would film anything. So it hasn't gone that far yet, but you never know how much damage before they get this under control, like how that would affect everything else. So this list could actually grow. So Marvel has been one of the most reliable universes in terms of project release since the MCU began in 2008. Since then, dozens of Marvel projects, both in MCU and other franchises like Sony's Spider-Man universe, which includes Venom, Madam Web, and an upcoming Kraven film. So what is this written? Okay, this weird. The Kraven film already came out, so it's not upcoming anymore. It actually came and flopped. Have had their way at theaters, but the future does not look bright for other planned releases. Three Sony Marvel movies could be canceled following Kraven's release. I think whoever's in charge over at Sony said that they're kind of scaling back on the Spider-Verse stuff. It's like I think they're gonna kind of focus on the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie and the Miles Morales 2D animated movie. And eventually, the way Tom Holland is speaking, he's probably looking at these last three are going to be his last three. So, will they recast Peter Parker? I don't know. They were leaning heavily in towards Miles Morales. Things have changed a little bit, so I don't know how that's going to play itself out. Okay, back to T'Challa. Will Secret Wars use the same T'Challa that Coogler will use? I think they stated that in that article. Yes, it's like because Black Panther 3 doesn't appear that it will come out. It doesn't appear that it's going to come out before the Secret Wars movies. So, like I said, they're going to use this to probably can't recast a lot of people. And the way that story is they use it to consolidate a lot of stuff. So, like with the Miles Morales thing, is his mother died in the Ultimate Universe, but because he became friends with Molecule Man recreated his entire family for him in the 616. Now, if Molecule Man is in Secret Wars, he has the power to do stuff like that. So if they wanted to completely reshape what the MCU is in going into the future, then they can do that. So they can basically recast them. They can recast Iron Man. They can recast Captain America, yada yada yada. And essentially, like with Doom, it's like you cast Robert Downey Jr. because there's an actual story that takes place where Tony Stark went to school with Victor Von Doom, and Victor Von Doom swapped like brains with him or something. So he's operating as Tony Stark, but it's Victor Von Doom, right? If you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, that's I can pretty much, I think that's what they're gonna go. So all right. Below 3 movies set in the Spider-Man universe are now at risk of being canceled. Her Null symbiote film, Null, have closed out Tom Hardy's time at Sony. I never watched this, but the film's post-credit scenes including that there would be at least one feature film based on Null or another symbiote. The Last Dance has 2 post-credit screens, both of which tease and tease there is more to tell in the Sony Spider-Man universe. The first scene in the middle of credits. Okay. Your champion is fallen, the king is back and is awake. Your world will burn. Okay. I don't know. All right. Yeah. I think, as if I can remember correctly, because that movie didn't make as much money as they wanted it to, they're scaling back on these projects. However, okay, this one I never even heard of. El Muerto. Cinema Con announced that it would make a film titled El Muerto, starring Bad Bunny. The flick was supposed to be about a luchador with superpowers, which isn't surprising given Bad Bunny's love for the experience and the professional. No, for love. Oh, Bad Bunny's love for and experience and professional wrestling in the wrestling industry. During the announcement, Sony even brought Bad Bunny on stage, indicating that El Muerto is being taken seriously and was almost guaranteed to be released. However, Bad Bunny is one of the most popular artists in the world, and according to Variety's tour dates conflicted with scheduling for El Muerto, impacting the film's development. And it's also worth noting that the script apparently underwent multiple revisions, which sounds like Marvel, making increasingly unlikely to ever be published. Hypno Hustler. So, Donald Glover will produce and star in a film set in the Sony Spider-Man universe called Hypno Hustler. What? I never even heard of this. The movie would be about a character of the same name from Spider-Man comics and explores his ability to use hypnosis technology and his instruments to rob his audience. While the movie is first reported, Glover's involvement was set to make history. He would become the first actor to be cast as two separate major live-action characters in the Spider-Man franchise. He's also appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's noted that Miles Murphy was reported to be the film's writer. No notable news revealed following the. Wow, I never even heard of that shit. It's like, why would, if you're gonna do anything, like, why would you not? I mean, wait until you cast Miles Morales and just have him be his uncle, because that's what he is in the Spider universe. He plays the Prowler, so he's his uncle, and he was also in the Spider Verse as himself, dressed up as the Prowler. So I don't know. All right, so there's one other bit of rumor, like news in Marvel. So let's knock that out. All right, so there's a rumor that the Furiosa director George Miller is eyed to direct the World War Hulk or Thor 5 by Marvel Studios. We've been waiting a long time for a new Hulk movie. I don't know how you do a World War Hulk, because, and they keep doing these comics, which is crazy. They keep doing these comics where there's a lot of history that is tied into it. There's characters that are tied into it. No. I'm not knocking the fact that they do it. I'm like, regardless of what he do, what I'm getting at is World War Hulk. You need like a bunch of stuff in order to actually tell this story. You got to establish the Illuminati. You kind of did that in Doctor Strange, but it wasn't the 616's Illuminati. It was more like multiverse version of it, and they changed some of the characters. You need Namor, you need Black Panther, you need you need Iron Man. So you need Iron Man to be alive. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do, and what made that the World War Hulk so compelling is the fact that they launched him into space. It was like a bunch of stuff that happened, and they kind of screwed the Hulk. So when he came back to Earth, he was really, really pissed because they wound up killing his wife, and it was like a whole thing. So you'd have to tell all of that in order to actually tell this story properly. And that's why I said they keep picking these stories where there's a lot of backstory to it to get to the point where you tell this particular story. They hinted at it in Ragnarok with him being stuck like out in space, right? As the Hulk, because essentially that's how the story went. He was the Hulk all like full time on this other planet where he just got to be his full self because it was a barbarian planet, and he got to just live his own adventures or whatever. All right. So I'm not knocking, like, I think for all intents and purposes, I've heard that Furiosa was good. So it would actually make a it'll be better than the last Hulk movie, last Thor movie, and the last Hulk movie. So I could probably say that. So it's just the stories that they're choosing to try to tell. Like there's a lot of backstory to a lot of these things. We waited a long time for Hulk movie, while the Avengers franchise, Thor Ragnarok, and She-Hulk Attorney at Law have helped fill the void. Bruce Banner hasn't taken center stage since 2008's Incredible Hulk, and that has a lot more to do with licensing and all that kind of stuff, because they would have to pay, I think Universal, if they actually made a movie starring the Hulk. It's like they can use the Hulk as a secondary character in other movies, but they can't make a movie. From what I heard, they can't make a movie starring the Hulk without having to pay Universal, because of all the, and it's the same kind of thing with Submariner, which is the reason why they probably changed them a lot. So even though they call him Namor, they changed the way his name sounded. It was just a lot of weird stuff, and this is just licensing. All right, recently we've been rumblings about World Hawks projects being in the works, something backed up by recent production weekly listing suggesting it could begin shooting as soon as this year. Because with World War Hawk, you would get like half of it would take place in this barbarian type world, which will be fitting given like the Mad Max type style. And then it also takes place in like New York. So it'll be interesting to see what his take on modern day like New York would be. World of Real did some digging, claims have learned that the project is in active development. In fact, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige said to already reached out to numerous directors, including Mad Max and Fury Road and Furiosa Helmer, George Miller. Yes, we can get a Miller-directed World War Hulk movie. Interestingly, the report notes that Miller has expressed interest in helming Thor 5 after working with Chris on Furiosa. The actor was reportedly responsible for setting up the meeting between the filmmaker and Feige. Miller has flirted with the idea of directing a superhero movie, of course, as he was behind the camera for Justice League Mortal, a movie that fell apart before the production began. He also defended the genre by saying, I watch all of them, to be honest, in terms of this debate. Cinema is cinema, and it's very broad church. The test ultimately is what it means to the audience. This is his response to older directors not liking the fact that the entire pretty much the entirety of Hollywood shifted over to these superhero movies. So they were making their viewpoints known at the time. Miller later criticized Martin Scorsese's hubris for deciding what is and what isn't cinema by noting such a broad spectrum, a wide range, and to say that anyone is more significant or more important than the other is missing the point. It is one big see, words are failing me today. Mosaic, and each bit works. Its bit of work fits into it. During the rounds to promote Furiosa last year, Mad Max franchise creator asked outright if he'd helm Hemsworth in a possible Thor 5. And I would work with Chris on anything. I really would. He's a wonderful actor. He's got a full range and all the skills. I mean, you got to be athletic physically, but you also got to be athletic emotionally and intellectually to take on this very and ultimately fairly complex any role. Really, we will see what happens, but it sounds like World War Hawks could be with us for quite a bit sooner than expected. And the leader in Red Hawk's roles in Captain America: Brave New World must be leading to something, and providing that it's a hit, this epic event may well be up next. Okay, so give out your opinion on that. All right, so we're going to end this by discussing the rumors about, but there's like two. One is Will Smith put out this thing. See if I can find it. Nope. Here we go. All right, let me share this so you can see what I'm talking about. Alrighty. Okay, so this is on that Park Place. Will Smith hints at a Matrix reboot in a cryptic Instagram post as WB seemingly won't let the franchise die with any dignity. This is on that Park Place. He teased a reboot of The Matrix is in the works in a recent post on Instagram. The post implies that Will Smith will be cast in this new Matrix as Neo, the role made famous by Keanu Reeves, or at least some other Neo-like chosen one character, which is interesting because he was also, I think he was either in the running or he had the part but turned it down to go play Wild Wild West because he didn't. I think he didn't really understand the Matrix, like the movie at the time, so he chose to go do Wild Wild West instead of that. So I'm just trying to think of him at that particular time period. Will he have been able to pull off the type of character that Neo was? But was Neo like that because of Keanu Reeves kind of, stoicness? I wonder if he would have Will Smith it up Neo. I guess we will find out. So this is what he put. He's like, "Wake up, Will." So it had like 91,000 likes. In the video, Video Smith recently shared words scroll across the screen in a style of green text that originally reached out to Keanu Reeves as a new in the Matrix. The main difference was instead of green, the text was orange, and the video displayed the following text. In 1997, Wachowski's offered Will Smith the role of Neo in the Matrix. He turned it down. He chose Wild Wild West, believing a better fit for him at the time. But the question remains, what would Matrix have been with Will Smith as Neo? Wake up, Will, the Matrix has you. Like I said, the fans of the original movie may very concerned for two major reasons. Firstly, Will Smith, once celebrated and beloved Hollywood celebrity, destroyed his reputation in a single night by smacking the hell out of Chris Tucker for telling a very tame joke about his wife, which he was laughing at until he turned sideways and saw that his wife was not feeling that. And as the camera panned back up stage to Chris Rock, an angry Will Smith popped out of nowhere and slapped him upside the head. Since then, Will Smith has been banned from Academy events and appeared in fewer films with diminishing returns. It tends to be what happens when you slap the crap out of someone who is smaller than you on national television. He was lucky he wasn't arrested for that. And second, the fourth Matrix movie, The Matrix Resurrections, was an abysmal critical and commercial failure. The film was so bad that many theorized that the Wachowski, co-creator of The Matrix, actually made a terrible movie on purpose despite Warner Brothers for yet another soulless cash grab. At the time, there were no plans for a Matrix 5, but this is Hollywood, and the corporate film machine is incapable or at least unwilling to let a franchise die. So after controversies and failures, why are we getting a fifth Matrix movie, and why cast Will Smith? Well, Bad Boys Ride or Die did pretty good. And just like everything goes into a memory hole, usually how this works is you do something really bad, people tend to be angry about it for like 2 years, they forget, or something else happens, and life moves on, and you may or may not be able to redeem yourself. Could be that Hollywood plans to use them to push yet another DEI agenda, with the elevator pitch being in the Matrix, but Neo is a black man. It's like, okay, perhaps is trying to reboot his career by using a cryptic message to stir up hype and buzz, or perhaps he, like most Hollywood these days, is desperate for success and is using a popular brand to get it. It's kind of like having the upteenth friggin' Jurassic Park come out way past the. While I did like Chris Pratt in one or two of his Jurassic Parks, that last one was not that great. I mean, it didn't make any kind of sense, but I digress. For whatever reason, that Park Place remains skeptical and will continue to report on further development. Now, there is another rumor about this same movie. So let's share that one instead. All right. So the second rumor about The Matrix is Ariana Grande is being eyed for a lead role in Drew Goddard's The Matrix movie. This tiny person is going to be kicking butt in the Matrix. I don't know why I personally feel about that. It should be, it could be goofy, could be interesting. Depends on how they do it. Last April, we learned that the Martian writer and the Cabin in the Woods director, Drew Goddard, had been tapped to helm a new Matrix movie for Warner Brothers Discovery. Rumors of a reboot spinoff had persisted for years. While we don't know which category this one will fall into, this could mark a return to form for the franchise. The Matrix released in 1999 with a widespread acclaim. Most people who are fans of this movie consider that the only Matrix movie and don't really like the. I actually did mind Loaded and Revolutions. So they didn't receive anywhere near as warm a response as the original, and later returned to property minus Lily in 2021 for Resurrections, and once again struggled to strike a chord with fans. It was widely deemed disappointing. There's currently no word on whether the original Matrix leads Keanu Reeves, Karen Ann Moss, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne is way too old to be flipping around and doing a kung fu. Hugo Weaving was involved in any kind of way, but a new rumor claims that the reveal that one of the project's leads, Wicked star Ariana Grande, according to the Scooper, My Time to Shine. Grande is eyed for a leading role in the next Matrix movie from Drew Goddard. That's all we have for now, though this will be a huge step forward for the singer's acting career after a critically acclaimed performance in Wicked. Grande has previously expressed an interest in taking a greater number of acting roles. I'm going to say something so scary it's going to scare the absolute shit out of my fans and everyone. She said last year, I love them and they will deal. We'll be here forever, but I'm always going to make music, but I'm always going to go on stage. I'm always going to do pop stuff. I do Pinky Promise. Okay. But I don't think doing it at the rate that I've been doing it for the past 10 years is where I see the next 10 years. I love acting. I love musical theater, reconnecting with this part of myself. Yada, yada. Sci-fi project will be a huge, big test for a singer turned actor. We don't know who she won't be. What we do know is that she won't be joined by Will Smith. Okay. So I guess, did that change? So, okay. That's really weird. Let's see what that's. Oh, so there's an update. All right. So Matrix, it seems that Will Smith won't be taking the red pill as new Neo after all. Yeah, it's weird because that would have been weird. It's like Ariana Grande was what, late 20s. You got a 57-year-old Neo. We learned that plans for Drew Goddard to write and direct a new Matrix movie. Rumors or reboot a spinoff for persisted for years. Yada yada yada. The prequel starring Michael B. Jordan as a young Morpheus never came to fruition. We heard very little about his efforts since it was announced by Warner Brothers Discovery. Goddard, best known for writing The Martian and Cabin in the Woods, will have been helping hand from franchise co-creator Wachowski, and who is boarded the project as executive producer. Yesterday, Will Smith shared a cryptic talking is not good for me today. This is not infamous decision to pass on the role of Neo in 1999 Matrix instead of starring Wild Wild West. So the brief video of Matrix style, okay. Included my Wake Up Will, the Matrix has you. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that as if Smith was teasing a role in Goddard's movie. After all, we first reported none of the sources confirmed that Will Smith, at least to this point, wasn't involved in the film franchise. Will Smith will not be joining Warner Brothers and director Drew Goddard in a new Matrix movie for studio insiders tell us. So what exactly was Will Smith teasing, if not a new movie? Well, that's now widespread belief that it likely has something to do with his plans to drop a music album for the first time since really? Okay. So why would he do it like that? It's worth pointing out that the Super Bowl is fast approaching, and Smith could wind up playing Neo in a commercial for any number of brands. That's kind of lame, but he's been doing a lot of lame stuff lately. So, Matrix release and okay, okay, all right. That was kind of goofy, but yeah, whatever. All right, so this has been interesting. Talked about a lot of stuff. The last couple of shows been doing, there has not been a lot of things to talk about. So this particular one actually had quite a bit. So, all right. To all you folks out there, for anyone who watches this in the future, please thank you. And please like, share, and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And on that note, I'm out. Later. Peace.